I'm going to talk about multiplying two decimal numbers that give you a bunch of zeros in the product, or at least one zero that you have to add after you place the decimal, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. Let's take 0.05 and 0.7. Now, the first thing we do in multiplying decimals is just we pretend the decimals aren't there and just multiply the numbers as if they were whole numbers. And here, that would be 5 times 7, and they already did that for us. 5 times 7 is 35. Now we need to figure out how many numbers are after the, or where do we put the decimal? So how many numbers are after the decimal in this first number? It's 2. This one and this one, so 2. How many numbers after the decimal in this number? Just 1. So I add these together, and I get 3. So there's 3 digits after the decimal in my answer. So I put my pencil here, and I go 1, 2, 3. Boop. Now there's a space here. There is a space here. And because there's a space here, we have to fill it with a 0. If we did not fill it with a 0, that would be 35 hundredths, and not the actual answer of 35 hundredths, instead of the actual answer of 35 thousandths. Now it's a big difference. That's like 3 cents versus 3 cents or 4 cents versus 35 cents. Big difference. Okay, and that's what this lesson is all about, is when you have these zeros in there. It's easy to skip over them, but you don't want to skip over them. It'll change your answer. Same thing here. 0.2 times 0.3. First we multiply just the 2 and the 3, and we get 6. They did that for us. And there's 1 digit after the decimal in 0.2. There's 1 digit after the decimal in 0.3. We add those together, and we get 2. There are 2 digits after the decimal in my answer. So I put my pencil here, and I go 1, 2. Boop. There's a space here. So I need to fill that space with a 0. 0.06. It is not 0.6. It's 0.06. Do not forget that 0. Anytime there's a space, you put a 0 in that space. Otherwise, this would be 0.6 instead of 0.06. It would be like the difference between 60 cents and 6 cents. Those two are not the same. Now we have 0.02 times 0.2. Once again, we just multiply them as if they were whole numbers. 2 times 2 is 4. Now there are 2 digits after the decimal here. 1 digit after the decimal here. And if you add those up, you get 3. And there are 3 digits after the decimal in my answer. So I put my pencil here, and I go 1, 2, 3. Boop. Notice there are 2 spaces here. 2 spaces. That means there are 2 zeros. Some people get used to this pattern, and they say, oh, if I go beyond, then I just add 1 0. No, you have to count the number of spaces. If there's more than 1 space, you add more than 1 0. 1 0 for every space. Okay, now, here is a problem where they didn't do the multiplication for us, so we will do it. 0.05 times 0.8. We just multiply these 2 numbers together as if there were no decimal there. So 5 times 8 is 40. And there's 2 digits after the decimal here. 1 digit after the decimal here. So that's 0 and 5. That's 2 digits. So it's just the 8. That's 1 digit. I add them together. There's 3 digits after the decimal in my answer. So I put my pencil here, and I go 1, 2, 3. Boop. There's a space. There's a space here. So I have to put a 0. That's my answer. It's not 0.4, it's 0.04. Or this 0 doesn't really matter. As many zeros at the end of a decimal as you want. Okay, 0.09 times 0.7. We're going to ignore the decimal for a moment. Make it 9 times 7 is 63. There's 2 digits. There are 2 digits after the decimal in 0.09, the 0 and the 9. And there is 1 digit after the decimal in 0.7. We add them together, and we get 3. There's 3 digits after the decimal in my answer, so I put my pencil here, and I go 1, 2, 3. there's a space right here, and I fill it with a 0. Okay, it's 0.063, not 0.63. Big difference. Now I have 0.2 times 0.1. 2 times 1 is 2. And there is 1 digit after the decimal in 0.2. There is 1 digit after the decimal in 0.1. And I get, there's 2 digits after the decimal in my answer. So I put my pencil here and I go 1, 2. Boop, right there. There's a space and I fill it with a 0. So I get 0.02. Okay, don't forget those zeros.